Okay, here we are again for day two of the game jam. Uh, things should. I'm just gonna continue basically. Well, not where I left off. I'm gonna continue working on the game today for 2 or 3 hours. We'll see. Um, I did check a couple things quickly from yesterday's stream. I noticed the volume was a little bit low. Hopefully that's fixed. I also noticed it was mono. Um, I have this Focusrite solo thing and it records in two channels, but the microphone is the left channel, and then you can plug in like a musical instrument on the right channel. And if you don't do that, obviously it only comes through the left channel. I fixed that. There's a oh, I didn't fix it. So if I click mono here, hopefully that will be what sounds better and doesn't just come out of the left channel. Okay, so let's get started. So as a reminder, the Dark Machine is kind of a game similar to The Incredible Machine, which is a very old game from the 90s, um, in which you kind of place things in the scene to kind of create a Rube Goldberg machine um, to achieve some end goal. In this game, that end goal is to cause accidents in order to progress through the levels and get further into a secret research facility. So let's kind of fire up where this looks now. And here's what we have. It looks very flat, but I have been working on the game a little bit since yesterday. So let me go ahead and pull those changes down. It was done on a different um, on my other machine. So I started here. You can see after the stream, I'm gonna review some of the changes. Um, I added. I'll actually show you too. I just kind of want to run through these real quick. So I added some real art. Not for like the terrain. For the background and the ground, and there's a little sun and there's some clouds. Um, and let me walk through the other changes. Okay, I might. Usually it works fine when you pull in the middle of a chain workspace. Um, it's being a little uncooperative at the moment. Okay, I don't know what happened there. So here's how it looks at the moment. Um, you can see there's like a lovely background and the clouds are moving a little bit and they actually do wrap around to this side. The art pack for this, it was donationware. You can see it in the GitHub source code. You can also see I've wired up some stuff here. So I've gone ahead and created so okay, let me kind of go through in order. So there's the soldier, and this used to have an animation editor. Uh, sorry, not animation player, um, for moving the character back and forth. But I think the way I'm realizing that this works is the animation player can't do relative positioning. That's just like it's not stateful. It doesn't remember things. It only knows like you set this to 0 and then 100 and then 200 and then it sets that position to 0, 100, and 200. So what that means is if you really want to use an animation player, um, you can't animate the root node in a scene like this, because if you animate the root node, you're animating its local position within its parent. So if you animate it from 0 to 100 to 200, that means that this soldier is rooted to your game, it's going to be up here in the top left corner. And there's just no way for that to like logically work any other way. So long as animation players are stateless, which it really seems like they are. So kind of, I'm inferring the model that is used internally, and that is kind of helping me explain why it works the way it is. I don't know if that is, but it would certainly explain a lot. So a couple ways you could solve that, or like the only way I know you could really solve that is if you don't animate the root node, you say like, um, oh, I guess it is not an option here. So normally when you right click on something, you can say like reparent a new node. In any case, you just created like another node 2D basic node, and then parent your rigid body to that, and then you'd have, and then the animation player would animate your, I guess this is the character body. Anyway, you would animate a child of this so that the position of the soldier would stay constant. It'd be right here, but then the character body 2D inside of it would go side to side. And that way it would be the absolute position of that object within this broader scene. I didn't really feel like doing that. So instead I created another node that has a script attached called Patrol or AI Patrol. And this is kind of doing the same things as the animation, but programmatically. There's some, I added some exports up here that says like, hey, you know, do we want to move right or left? How many pixels do you want to move? How many pixels per second? And then how long do you stop at the end? And you can do all this with, you're tweening the position from your global position to, you know, to that distance. Then you pause, and then you flip the, you know, the age, etc., etc. And it loops, and kind of, you're not, it's kind of an anti-pattern for a node to modify its parent because it couples too much to it. But this is a very, like, it's still kind of loose coupling because it's just a position and a sprite. And I don't know. I mean, it's not the best, but it's not the worst either. And then this way I can move the soldier to another point on the screen. I don't have to recreate animations if I want to have multiple soldiers in multiple levels, which I probably will. Let's see, what else? So there's obviously this button here. And let's kind of look at this real quick. So the art for this is just a sprite sheet, which looks pretty basic. There's a button, there's the on press position and the press position. And if you, it's called a push button. If you look at how the scene for this looks, it's very small. There's a script attached, and so it's an area 2D, and area 2Ds they're like triggers in Unity. They have a physical presence, but they usually don't move very much, and they don't block collision. Like, they have collisions, but things can go through them. And versus, and then area 2Ds are kind of or areas are kind of the only thing that really do that. So I didn't really have to change any of the settings for it. So if you look at the script for this, you just say, also confusingly, with a rigid body, you have to say, no, sorry, this is the character body. I think, is it just rigid bodies that you have to set? Yeah, so with a rigid body, you have to set max context reported and contact monitor, but with every other kind of physics body, you don't. I don't know why. Optimization, I guess. But it is true that the entire point of an area is to detect collisions, so maybe it was kind of implied that there's always going to be collisions. Anyway, so here I'm programmatically wiring in body entered and body exited events, and keeping track of how many things are touching this button. And going from 0 to 1, it plays the pushed animation, and going from 1 to, you know, or n to 0, 1 to 0, it plays the default. There are a few different ways. I don't know. There's probably a couple different ways you could handle like switching between two sprites. But since this is in a sprite sheet, it's really easy to just use an animation here, and, you know, go here and you create your push button, or, this kind of thing, and then kind of click between them. Um, that way you can have the default animation is just this, and the push animation is this. And then you can switch between them here and here. And this is technically an abuse of the animation system because there's one frame, but it's fine. um, so also there's all these signals here that come from the you know the node that you're extending. This is push button. You have all these you know which is an area 2D, which extends collision object 2D, which extends canvas item, etc. You can also create your own signals. I have a button pushed signal here, and I emit it when uh, when we reach this one point here. And it's in fact already doing stuff because you'll notice in the game here, we have, so the last thing is on the push button scene, the event doesn't do anything, but because it's a kind of, anything like your root node in these scenes is kind of your API to the outside world. You don't really want other nodes directly pathing into, you don't want the outside scene pathing into these children. They're kind of internal. But stuff on the top is fine. It's fair game. So this push button has a event, button pushed, and it calls the shoot burst method on turret when it's triggered. So if you go here, you can see shoot burst plays, instead of calling this animation here from ready, it's now only called when this method happens. So lo and behold, that's what we want to happen. So let's see, what else is there? I fixed the window stretch mode, readme, there's the player button, and the UI. I turned off the UI at the start. So here's where we are now. Let me embiggen. I think I can embiggen this. There we go. And it does the integer scaling because it's pixel art and it looks better that way. But I don't know if I really want to resize it every time. So there's gonna be a bar at the bottom here that has like items that you can place, and kind of as almost as a gag, you can like place a soldier. But it is funny that like I think it animates, and it's actually like I was like, well, I should fix that. I'm like, because the tween is paused, but the position that the tween goes between, if you look at the AI patrol here, this global position is determined when like the ready method was called, which it's not following the mouse. Anyway, I don't think it needs to be fixed. At least not this particular script, because you're not actually going to be placing soldiers. Though it was kind of like, I don't know, it'd be a different genre of game if you could like place people up here, be kind of a castle defense kind of thing. But it's just gonna nope off over there. And in fact, if you go here and you look at the game, you can click this little override camera button, and you can force this camera, like you can force your game camera to match your game editor. So if you want to zoom in here, you can like, it's a cool little hack I discovered kind of recently. But anyway, so you can see the soldiers up there. What we actually want to do is have this button here, and you can see the button is here right now, and there's this equipment button container I have. And hey, Sloth like man. I don't know if you're still here or not, but that's fine. Yeah, so basically I don't want to like manually create these buttons on every single level. I want to kind of have it a little bit more data driven. So if you look at here, there's a scene. So here's what the container looks like. There's a scene called equipment type. And if you look at how the code here is structured, on startup, it instantiates whatever the equipment type is, and then it tries to find the picture to show, which is kind of hacky. It's like, hey, do you have an animated sprite? If so, use the first frame of the developed thing for that. Do you have a regular sprite? If so, use that. And and then it assigns it to the texture. Um, and then there's a little bit more. This is kind of cool. So it actually goes ahead and creates that object when, um, well, it does it a couple times. When you first start up, it creates the object, but doesn't attach it to the tree, so it doesn't really do anything. Maybe I should free it just to be sure. I don't know if this is like strictly necessary, but it seems. I mean, I could probably do like actual free, not instead of queue free, but it's fine. But it creates a when you click on the button, it creates the another instance of the equipment. It sets its process mode to disabled. So when you have a button here, this is probably not the right. If you have a soldier, there's all these process modes here, and you can say like, when do you run? Either like you run by default or pausable when paused, always disabled. And this is like, is this a thing that's supposed to have its process method called while the game is paused? It's kind of like, and you can say like, even when it's paused, never when, never, etc. So what we do here is we say like, look, this particular object is paused. This process method should never call. And then we add it to the root tree, and then we set the ghost object, which is what I always call these kind of transparent things that follow the mouse around when you're trying to place it as ghost. And during every frame, if we have a ghost, then it updates its global position to the mouse's global position. So that's how, when you click on it, it follows your mouse around. And then lastly, if we have a ghost and there's a mouse button event, and the mouse button event is the left mouse button, then we set the color to white just in case that it was some other color previously. I haven't actually implemented that yet, but we'll see. Sets the process mode back to the default, and then it clears the null. So it's bugged right now because of the animation player, because it's a soldier, but you can see like it's no longer kind of being placed. So if we go back here and change this scene from a soldier, because that would be silly, to a floor push button, which I wish you could, I don't know why you can't see it here. I guess you can open it, but I would like to view it. And now you have this. It doesn't have any like hover effect or anything like that, but you can click on it. And I kind of want it to be like a drag, but and also like not to be able to place infinite of them. But it's kind of fun. And eventually we'll be able to right click it to remove it. So the tricky thing is, how do we make it so that it, like, this is hard coded here to link to the turret to have this accident happen. And I don't know, I need to think about like how we want to do that. I do like the little clicky animation. Um, I mean, there's other things you can do. Be like, hey, you can't place the button while he's looking at it, otherwise he's going to get suspicious. But I mean, that's polished stuff. So, I mean, so there needs to be like a wire, and then the wire needs to have like, you click on one thing and you click on another thing, and then it creates a connection between them. And then is that always visible or not? I don't know. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn this off for now. Let me make sure this actually turns off and isn't just hidden. Okay. Yeah. So that's another kind of difference with Unity, is like this is literally just visibility. If you actually want it to be fully turned off, you also have to disable it here. And then that will also, you can see it grays it out. Okay, now it's off. Okay, so let's go back here and say, I don't remember exactly all we changed. Finish button, finish placement, but UI button. Finish UI button for placing floor button. So that's done. We can just go ahead and push that. I always hope, no, that's not what I want. Can I make a shortcut for this? Desktop shortcut? Desktop shortcuts turned off. Okay, great. That's fine, I suppose. Launch. So let's see. So we want like an icon that's just like a wire, and it can be super simple. Like this is 32. These grid cells are 16 by 16. That's fine. Well, I mean, it's extremely small, but let's go ahead and give it a shot. Um, Obligatory. Let me check my phone real quick. Okay. Wire. I want it to be just like a curly, like a little pig's tail kind of thing. I mean, I could, do, well, first of all, it looks bad, but like it looks kind of like, if you do something like this, it might look kind of like a spring. So I kind of just want to be like, let's see, 2 pixels. 2 pixels is kind of chunky. This doesn't really matter. Okay. Not my best work, but it's fine. I want to have like exposed wire bit at the end. Wire export. Okay. So we're going to have, the other thing is like, if you don't want to like duplicate the UI across every level, you normally want to have a scene here, but you want to kind of factor that into a separate object, and it's hard to do that later. But I'm not quite ready for that right now. I'll just gonna, like, I just want to like duplicate this and change this to something else. Let's go ahead and create a new scene. So this is a little bit different. Like this button continue, you're actually instantiating a button. Like it's making a copy of an object you've been placing into the world. The wire is going to be different because it's going to be like unique. It's going to be connecting two things. So this really is just like, I don't know. This is going to be like a UI only component. But let's see if we can make it as consistent as possible. So the way this equipment button container script works is it looks for like for whatever equipment you drop into it, whatever thing equipment type is, does it have a sprite child? And this is going to have to change here a fair bit, but at least we can do that part kind of consistently. So here we can have a sprite, and we're going to give it the wire texture here. Scenes. I mean, it's technically UI. Okay. Okay. Also, this might be extremely small. We'll see if I need to scale it. Okay, so here we can change. That's not what I meant. Okay. see, it instantiates this little wire thing, and that's I don't know. This is already going to be kind of weird. So like I actually don't mind it like following the mouse like this. Maybe first of all, I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. By which I mean much bigger. Okay. I mean the wire is like as big as the person. Everything's a little bit small in this game, but that's fine. Um, okay. So I'm gonna do one more quick little thing. I'm gonna see if I can like change the window. Windowed, maximized. Like I want windowed maximized, and I assume that's what this is. Yeah. Okay. Now we can actually see stuff. Oh, also when you click it places the wire in. I mean, this is gonna be kind of a pain because the wire is such a special case. It's connecting two things and it's gonna draw a line between them. And I that means that we have to like special case a bunch of the script code. Okay, let's go ahead and kind of commit this real quick. Create wire icon. Sure. I'm not gonna push that just yet. Okay. So we need something here. So I don't want to say if wire, but we do still need to have a like it's like a virtual equipment. Um I sure. Let's say um yeah, scripts virtual equipment. And we're gonna put it on the wire, but that's fine. If it doesn't, the name doesn't always have to match. It usually does, but um, you know what? I'm gonna call this wire because because there actually is a bunch of custom logic to it. Like it is going to be connecting things, and if we want to generalize that later on to rope or other kind of connective stuff later on, that's fine. I'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So what we want to do here is the first thing we want to do is we don't want to do this. When we click it, it shouldn't place the wire in the world. I mean, like it should, but it shouldn't, not like that. Um, so what I'm gonna do is in place equipment here, which is what the button is involved with. So it's the problem is right here. Like we get rid of the ghost, um, and we instantiate it. This is fine. Um, but then we want to do something else with it. So there's something we can do here. I think we can say if equipment. I'm gonna check to see if it like has a method. Has method. Um, equipment connect. So this is kind of like I think if you're doing C sharp, this is like interfaces, um, and you could say if equipment is you know I don't know connective equipment, then do something with that. This I this is fine. This is fine for now. This is one of the like one of the nice things about having a squishy typed language. Um, I I guess we can say like position. Is there a position here? Button event? Global position? Um, okay. So now we just need to. So I mean, one of the things that's kind of annoying with this is well, is I was going to say you couldn't see what things are calling this method if you're using a kind of reflection like this, but we still would call it right after, so it's actually not bad. Um, okay, let's look at wire. I'm going to say func. I'm going to connect a global position. Is this a vector 2 or vector 2i? Okay. I feel like it's well, okay. It's not it is a position of the mouse, but it's not a pixel position on the screen of the mouse. It's like a world position, I think. Um, okay. So I think this is what we want. Wait, this isn't doing anything yet. Oops. Print connecting wire at global position. So now if we click, then you get an error. Great. Oh, this is supposed to be ghost. My bad. What is equipment? Equipment isn't even in scope here. Oh, it is. This doesn't make sense. What is this? This doesn't do anything. Okay. Um. All right. I think that's because here this one has its own equipment as a local variable, and this one has its own equipment, and this one doesn't have anything down here. So now if you click, first of all, it doesn't place, but also doesn't break. And you say it shows connecting wire. It does show it twice. Let me see if I can figure out why that is real quick. Okay, so it happens on mouse down and mouse up. Um, that makes sense. Uh, because that's just the way that the event works. Um, released. So there's another thing. You can also say like, um, Godot has a really nice action system. Is action press and is action release, and you can go up here to project settings input map, and there's like you can add this layer of indirection, like these different buttons correspond to these different named actions. That makes sense for like platformers or shooters or stuff like that. For this, I kind of am okay with just hard coding. Also, left isn't strictly left; it's your primary button. So if you have a right-handed mouse, it's going to be the right mouse button. So this is the primary click, and I think I always want that. I don't like that's not going to be configurable or anything. So anyway, so now because am now checking is event released. When I'm holding down the button, then I let go, and it says connecting wire at such and such position. Okay, ship it. Looks good. So the next thing we need to do is let's think about this. So the next thing we need to do is like detect what you're clicking on, and detect what you're clicking on, and then you always need to do 2 clicks. You need to connect your button to your to the turret. So there's so that's the first thing. And then there's a whole other bunch of things too, like how do we show the line? How do we get rid of the line? Um, that one that one's gonna be a little tougher. I think I might say like you have to get rid of the button and then it'll get rid of the wire. I'll see. I might do that off stream because it's going to require a lot of fiddling. Okay, so here you want to raycast. You want to do like a point raycast. Raycasts are one of the things that are a little bit well, maybe it's not as bad in GDScript. it's kind of there's a lot of room for improvement on raycasts. Um, so what we want to do is we want to like we're going to be looking at the world here, and it's easy to see what you're clicking on if that thing has a physics object. So everything, like, I don't think the turret has a physics object, but the button does. That's how the soldier steps on it. So let's go back to our script and we can say, I don't know why these things have such weird names, but um, uh, space state, intersect point, and then you give it, the thing I don't like is, that's not even the right thing, intersect point, is the thing you pass in is this big ol' object that's fine, um, but it returns a dictionary. Why does it return a dictionary? I don't like a hash map, or well, dictionary is also pretty common. Associative array. Why does it return a real object, like a a struct or some kind of class? It doesn't even like it's even the same stuff every time. It's not like sometimes it has these three properties, sometimes it has these three properties. So uh, it's just it means I need to look at the documentation every single time to like figure out what the heck it actually is. Okay. Um, physics point query. Do I just new this? Okay, stop complaining. I also never know if you need if like it's if you need okay like vector when you define a vector you I guess it has kind of this weird constructor here. I don't know exactly why it's different, but everything else seems to require like actual like this. Okay, so let's look at this thing. Uh, I don't know or care what the canvas ID is. Collides with areas, false. So actually we want this to be true because the button is an area. So collide with areas equals true. Sorry, I'm bouncing around a lot. Collide with bodies is also true. That's fine. I mean, that allows you to click on the soldier. I'm gonna make sure it doesn't do anything, but that's something that's permitted. Collision mask is like what layers do you want to collide with. I don't know. Like, can you reliably say, you know, like put the turret and the person, the soldier, and the button on different collision layers? It might make sense at some point, but I don't have a specific reason to do it now. Exclude, I don't. Exclude is kind of a goofy thing, and of course, the position. The position being the global coordinates of the thing we're actually checking for. Position equals global position. Okay. So, okay, here's another goofy thing with this stuff with intersections. Um, well, so it's actually fine for this one, but for intersect ray, okay, let's say this. For some of the intersections, it returns a single collision, and if it's not what you want, you need to rerun um, the ray query with that thing added to the list of exclusions. So theoretically, you have to like loop through and perform the same query multiple times until you get what you want, which seems kind of inefficient. Um, but intersect point doesn't do that; it returns an array, so we can always do it just once. Um, okay. Um, collisions is this thing, and it has all these attributes that we'll get to in a second. So the other thing is like, how do we make it so that you can connect these two things? I mean, not like how do you like how do you say like, oh, you can connect a button, but you can't connect a soldier? That would be weird. Uh, and I want to do this in a way that doesn't involve like there's really no kind of commonality between a button and the turret. They have completely different structures. So what I think I will do is for the button, I'm going to create a new node. So if it doesn't have a position or anything, you can just use a straight up node, and you can say connectable. And I'm going to create a real quick script for this. Script slash, I don't know. Sometimes it's uppercase and sometimes it's not. I think it's probably supposed to be like snake case. Get rid of all this stuff. I usually like to specify a class name up here, and then you can say export var wire compatible, and your boolean, and we'll leave it on the default, and we'll use a real type and do the scripts because it seems to prefer that. Okay, so now we need a push button. It now has this child node connectable, and we're going to say wire compatible on. I'm also going to add some fun documentation here. Can be connected using a wire. I think we'll also add some signals here later, but now you hover over this, it says can be connected using a wire. Okay, so how does this help us? When we have our wire here, we can do more detection stuff. So we can say, I forget if this is the syntax or not. Print C. Is this even? I usually use like this is I'm spoiled by like JetBrains IDs. I normally just say the collision stuff for each and just kind of generates it for me. I ruined. Okay, so what this should do is we know this is being called because we saw a connecting wire. So if it collides with something, it should print what it's colliding with. I know I made this maximized, but I still want to see the console a lot. So the only thing that has a physics box here is the person. Okay, so it's working. I got the syntax correct. And you can see the RID is like a physics object, and anyway, you don't care about those. We care about the collider. And you can see the collider is, it's not going to be the collision shape. The collision shape is kind of like consumed by the actual physics object. So here's the push button. Okay, well, let me make this slightly more useful. So if you click the button, you place it out here on the horizon, and then you click that, and then you close, you can see there was a collision, and here's the push button. So what do we do with this information? We have collider is equal to, do you see why I don't, what is this crap? Why do I have, I mean, as, what does it even say it is? Node 2D. As node. We have no idea. We just know it's a node. And we can, make sure that's the case by we place the button and we click this thing and then we quit and it didn't error. It it still printed out the collision. Just a real quick sanity check. Thank you, Sora, for good job and good luck. Yeah, I'm just kind of poking around today. So next we want to check for this connectable because we don't want because the person is not going to have the connectable and this thing will. So connectable is equal to collider dot get child. No. So I always get confused. It is the child, but get child takes an index. You want get node or null. And we're going to say connectable. This is just, I don't know if this is inherent in game development, really like, well, what if you name connectable something else? They're like, well, just don't do that. And you'll be fine. So this autocompletes is connectable here because I created class name connectable up here. So it's a little bit more type safe. And we say if connectable, and connectable dot is wire compatible, then print can connect to that thing. I think this I want to say break, so that we stop looking. In case you've like stacked multiple things, we don't want to connect onto multiple of them. So now when you click on this, it says can connect to connectable that thing. Because, yeah, anyway, so that's what we want. Okay, what now? So we know that we can start this connection. I guess another thing is like when you look at game here, when I had the button originally here, it's if you connect like the turret always is kind of the target. It's the thing that's being activated. So for the push button is kind of the source. So let's make this a connectable source because it just makes sense. uh, because you're never going to say like, hey, when the turret activates, trigger the button or something like that. So this is a connectable source. And in the script here, well, connectable, we're going to rename you connectable source. And we're going to rename this file. And then things are going to break, and we're going to be kind of sad. Rename connectable source. And then we go back to the here, and we make sure that this still works. Okay, sometimes it works. It's still a connectable source. You'd kind of expect it, like, well, when I rename something, that everything that relies on that will also be renamed. That's not that's not always the case. Okay, so now we say this doesn't exist anymore. Good. It's not compiled, but it is a little bit smart about like what objects exist. Okay, so we need some kind of state. We need some kind of state machine because like we're connecting from this thing to this thing, and we're gonna say like when you first place, like there's the first object you click and then the second object you click, and as soon as you click the first one, then it shifts into like what do you want to connect to. And I think it should be accommodating. You don't always have to click on the source first. So I'm gonna say but because we know which one is the source, we can say here's our connectable source, and we don't have a target. We don't have a target type yet. Autocomplete the letter D because why not? Okay. So what we're saying is if this is a connectable source, then change our source to that. To the collider. Wait, what is this? Yeah, to the collider. Because the connectable source is just kind of a data node that says, yes, this thing that you're trying to connect to, you can connect to, but you're still connecting to the parent. So this is a good start. something I've learned from previous demos. It's always good to like make sure that, you know, like check constantly that things are working. For example, this is not working. uh, okay, despite what I just said, we can go ahead and assign it to this thing. I think it'll be useful for like triggering events. And if we actually need to, you know what? Let's make this a node because we're gonna want to. No, no, sorry. Sometimes I don't have all the answers. I confuse myself. So I don't want this to be a node because eventually we're going to be drawing a line from this point. So we don't want to be like every time the mouse moves, we have to like, hey, here's a connectable. Let's look at the parent to see where we want to draw it. I think what I'm going to do instead is the connectable source will be a node 2D. And the reason for that will be, where does the wire connect to visually? Does the wire connect to the bottom or the top, or do I just want to say it just connects to, like, I don't want to connect to here. And so you can actually say like, okay, the connectable source, you can actually, there's actually one type that's slightly better for this. There's a marker type, and it's the same thing as a node, but it has a widget in the editor. It's easier to see. So now you can say like that. Let's put it kind of in the base there, and you can change like it might be a little bit hard to see. It's like 1 pixel tall, and also very low contrast on the side. But there you can see the gizmo extends as this cross right here, so it's very clear. Well, it's clear to me anyway. Okay, so this extends a node 2D now. So that way it has a position, and that way it has like the global position methods and stuff like that. And sometimes it gets confused if the inheritance is not quite right. Okay, let's get on with this. So we also want to say, I also want to draw a line. Can I just say draw a line? This is one of the crazy things about like Godot versus other game engines is there's so much stuff that is just faster. It's just like in the global scope, and pretty easy. So what we want to do is, if we have a source but no target, then we want to draw a line from the source to the mouse. And if we have a target but no source, then we want to draw a line from the target to the mouse. And if we have both, then we want to connect them together. So we can say if source or target, then we say like, I'm trying to avoid like having every possible combination of things here. We can say, you know, I'm trying to have like a P1 point and a P2 point. If source and target, P1 equals source dot global position, P2 equals target dot global position. Great. If source or target, if source, no, change this to an else. If source, then P1 equals source dot global position. Else, the only else is target is something we're gonna say target dot global position. And finally, if P1 and P2, really you don't, oh, right, we're missing one thing here. P2 equals get global mouse position. So we're going to draw a line from these two things. I'm going to make the wire in the red because why not? Because it's more visible that way. Okay, so let's look at the docs for this real quick. Draw a line from a 2D point to another with the given color and width, optionally anti-aliased. Normally I would say, of course we want to do that, but maybe because it's pixel art, it'll look better. If width is negative, then a 2-point primitive will be driven instead of a 4-point one. That means when this canvas item is scaled, the line will remain thin. Okay. When would it be scaled? I mean, it's not a oh, I guess this is part of, well, whatever. I guess this is part of the canvas, the wire canvas item. Anyway, I also like, because it's not stateful, I think this is something you have to draw on every frame. I don't know over that for certain, so we'll see if it like crashes horribly. Like, are we generating a new object every frame? Okay, let's get on with it. P1, P2. Color dot red. Red. So it defaults to -1, which means it's always gonna be 1 pixel, even if it's resized. I just want to see what this looks like. Is this actually complaining about something? Okay, maybe that's just where it failed last time. Oh, that's where it's currently, the game is still running. Okay. So you do this, the expectation is that you get a single pixel line that follows the mouse around. Okay, that did not work. Can connect to. Okay, so we're setting source here, and we're running process. If source and target, so we're assigning source. Okay, I'm gonna set a breakpoint here. Okay, not executing. This should place as soon as the wire. Is this method not running? Oh, okay. So looking at the place equipment thing here, that method isn't running because of this. So while your ghost object is in process, it's in ghost mode. It's not running. So the process mode isn't running because it's still a ghost. The thing is, like, this wire. I think we need, so there's the wire that's the UI element. There's the wire that your mouse is following your mouse around, and then there's the wire that is like in the game world. I think I need to uh, create another wire. What if I just said, once this is connected, I can't tell if this is a horrible idea or not. Like, once you're connecting something, like, this doesn't really need to be in ghost mode. Inherit is usually what you want. It means, if the parent is pausable, then you're pausable and stuff like that. So now, does this work? No. Well, this didn't. Did I miss? Oh, okay. Errors are happening. Drawing is only allowed. Okay, fine. It didn't like this. Because it's not. Process is still supposed to kind of contain like higher order logic. You just want to have like the draw method. Um, I don't, I don't even know if, I don't even care about like the default draw. Uh, so sometimes when you override a draw method, it causes the object not to render anymore until you like tell it to render. Um, in fact, the only thing we want to render is the line we're going to draw. Okay. Um, I'm so used to adding print statements, but I can probably add a debugger instead. I also find I'm missing the button a lot. Okay, so this is good. It's executing now. Okay, but I was executing too much. Wire. So what we expect to happen is this to execute, or this. Can it connect to source at connectable? Okay, so that's being set. Okay, so I'm clearly clicking on it. Why am I being dumb here? So source is being assigned. We know it's being assigned, but it's not showing up here. Do I need to, it's like, okay, this is gonna be very spammy, but we're gonna try just printing source. So I think, okay, okay. There's other stuff I don't 100% grok yet. I think in the process method, I'm going to say if source or target redraw. So it doesn't, the thing is, it doesn't call draw in every method, which I think is kind of silly because the screen is usually being cleared on for every frame. So why, it's being redrawn. It's just not calling my method. Okay. Good. Uh, not good. Why are you doing this to me? Okay, so I mean, I know you can do breakpoints, but I want to kind of continuously see like over time. So it says it's drawing from there to there. That seems fine. Oh, there was it. Okay. Okay. So it's kind of working. But this is like a coordinate system problem. Godot's documentation is also like what system is the coordinates here? I think it's screen coordinates, and that's kind of a problem. Um, and because what we have are global coordinates, and global coordinates being like where is this in the world? Um, Let's see. This might be a Google question. I mean, it's not too bad if you know what you're looking for. I mean, there's also like canvas, good canvas, you know, nope. There's also like a camera, World 2D camera, no. Okay, to the Google. That's not the Google. That's also, damn it, I don't have unpin. Okay. Godot, world to screen coordinate and 2D. Get viewport, get rect. Ugh. Okay. Well, before I dive into this, let's take a step back. Draw a line. Is there let's try another tag. Godot, draw a line, global coordinates. You could just subtract global position from a coordinate to translate it into. See, the thing is, it's not just converting between global and local, I think. So normally, the thing is, like with Godot 3D, like it's all in meters, but with Godot 2D, it actually is in pixels. But you can still scale the canvas, which I don't think we're doing at the moment. But we could have the game like render very small and then zoom it, and that's how you get kind of the 2x pixel art thing instead of what I'm doing right now and just scaling everything manually. So I'm gonna try. Does Godot have a test harness? Like, does it let you write unit tests? Uh, I haven't really been doing that too much. I used to treat like Godot C# unit tests as being like a blocker. Um, um, it's I think so. It's not something super built in. Um, this I mean I haven't used this before. It seems reasonable. Um, it depends on what you're doing. I think if you're doing like very kind of pure functional programming where you have these outputs and you want these outputs, like if I was doing matrix transforms, which I guess I'm doing right now, but doing like angle transforms, other kind of math, and I want to make sure that this actually works the way I expect it to. If I'm doing like, hey, I passed in an angle of 400 degrees, does this actually get modded down to 40 correctly? It would be nice to write tests for that. In this particular case, I don't know. I mean, it'd be nice to kind of experiment, but yeah. I it's not amazing, but also I think I think the sentiment is like, oh, games don't need unit tests, which is kind of, I don't know if it's baseless or half true. It could be both. See, the thing is, I don't want to convert global to local. I want to convert global to screen. Go screen coordinates. So if I know how to do it, like this is just, oh, you just need to multiply this transform by that transform. Um, the thing is like, it's, it's just like a bunch of this stuff. So let's actually read this. No, too much reading. All trends, okay. Multiplying the affine inverse, which I've seen this a bunch before. I've never really grasped what it meant. So we have the canvas position. Get global transform with canvas times the local position. Okay. Um, I don't. Why is this calling this method before it's defined? Let me think of that. See, there's like, is there a node for drawing a line? Line 2D. Okay. So a wire is often gonna have a line. That seems reasonable. Um, I'm gonna assume that these points locally. Okay, thank God. Okay. I think this is gonna be much better. Default color. Love me some graphical interface color pickers. Um, red, 4 pixels so we can see it super obviously. Closed means if it's like half of us, if it's like a semicircle, does it actually like close? We don't want, that doesn't make any sense in this case. Points we will set. Okay. All of this can die in a fire. We don't want this. But we will probably copy it, so I'm not going to delete it. Okay. Good riddance. This is like too like immediate mode for me. It, you know, like it kind of suggests like look, like let the tool, let the editor handle that. Okay, so here's our line. Let's get rid of that part. Okay. So if we have either of these things, we're gonna do all this stuff, but better. Okay. I I subscribe to the sentiment of like if something seems too hard, yeah, I'm probably doing it wrong. Um, which is sometimes things are just hard and you just kind of you know it's an unfortunate reality. Um, but it is right kind of a lot, and that's one of the things is like it's being you know being you know not in Godot necessarily, but in some things, an experienced programmer is you know how to do more with less because you actually know what exists. You know what is being overcomplicated by my current approach. Okay, so if we have P1 and P2, we're not going to draw the line. We have these global positions, and this says these points say here that they're in local positions, um, which is slightly problematic. But converting from global to local is easier. I'm not going to do that for the first pass, but hopefully, hopefully soon. Line, I'm going to make sure it has 2 points. Can I just set this to an array of size 2? Point count. Okay, I mean, I can just call add point twice. Vector 2.0. This might make like a weird little blob where the wire is, but most of the time it'll be fine. Okay. So I haven't shown the game in a little while. Let's see if this works. Not works. But you know, renders. Okay, so here's where we are now. And our current objective is we're trying to make this wire like when you click on it, it should draw a line to where the cursor is. That is the immediate objective right now. So here we have this code, and I think we just want to say line dot set point position of the 0 to P1. Line dot set point position. Do it again. P2. Please work. I really don't want to spend all day on this damn line. Okay. So it looks like we're having the same problem as before, but I think it's a little bit better because now we're at least not doing like raw screen drawing. It's still a pain. Local. Okay. let's, well, let us pray that this will work. It should work, but it's really just like, so you want me to multiply by this transform, right? I'm like, I don't know. Is that gonna, oh, thank God. Okay. Uh, half an hour later. So this is, I mean, it looks a little bit ugly, obviously, but you know what? It's great. Great success. Um, and then there's gonna be like right click stuff that I wanted to do. Um, but let's calm down. Um, I'm gonna leave the line really thick for now because it's easier to see that way. Okay. Um, let's commit before, I know it's in the middle of the change, but it's working as well as it can be. I can hope for it to work, so let's just commit. Wire can be connected to a source node. Next up, connecting to end node, target node. Yeah, well, it's not just like I want to have a good commit history. It's not at all that. It's like I'm gonna make a bunch of changes and I'm gonna screw it up and then I'm gonna be like, oh man, I really hope the editor doesn't crash so I can preserve my undo history. Um, Also, I can get rid of all this stuff. It's really like just if I'm gonna break things, I at least want to be able to revert back to a working state. Okay, let's you can stay. Uh, okay. Um, let's amend my commit real quick. Sometimes it doesn't remember your commit message. Copy. This isn't really worth my time, but like it's supposed to. Whatever. All right. Um, I'll push it so that people can mess around with it if they like. Um, okay. Yeah, aggressive. Instead of tests, I also like to keep aggressive check-ins. Uh, yeah, I just it's just nice when things are working because there's like because things are horribly broken 90% of the time. So you're like, okay, it's finally working. I'm just gonna, you know, it's like the extreme version of saving or making another copy of that Word document. Final v5. Okay, so this is actually a reasonable foundation here. This connectable stuff. Um, I'm going to change these names around because this is going to get confusing in a second. Change all these things. We're going to create another connectable thing. So we have this connectable source. I think this is a reasonable model. Where's our turret? Not that turret. Where's the turret scene? Turret. Okay. We're going to say, we're going to create another marker. And you go right there at the base. Eventually I want the line to draw behind things, but I don't. I can prettify things later. And again, like the API is the name of the node, because there's an interesting thing in. Sorry, I compare with Unity a lot because it's kind of my baseline. In Unity, you can say like get components and you can pass in a class. Um, so But there's the kind of no equivalent here to be like, hey, turret, do you have a child of type connectable target? Where if we have a script called connectable target here, and it's like, I have strings and I have indexes, and that's what more do you want? I'm like, well, okay, understandable. So you just have to make sure you always name it the same thing. You could kind of, and I probably should kind of pull this out into like a scene at some point so that every turret like object has the exact same connectable target on it, instead of just relying overly on it. So I can like reuse the scene instead of reusing the name, but it's fine. Okay, so what is it's fine. So connectable source or connectable target is going to look very very same. And why I was about that is I could just the only difference between these two things is whether it's a target or not. So I can just have a boolean that says, "Are you a target or not?" or an enum with two states. Uh, it's fine. If I golf this, I'm gonna spend like half my time doing that, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much. Um, but you could, I mean, you know what I mean. Like here, you could say, "Hey, you're connectable." Um, what are you complaining about? You're connectable. Are you a target or not? And just query it on the attribute. Um, I don't think this is a real error. Cannot find a type connectable source. It might be confused because I copied it and now there was like two connectable sources for a second. I'm just gonna restart and see. Okay. All right. Great. Have I tried turning it off and on again? Yeah. I mean, sure. I literally just restarted and fixed it. Okay. So if this is a connectable source that we're colliding with, then do that stuff. Var connectable target collider get node or null. It is kind of nice that like the default get node will just throw an exception if you can't find it. I'm kind of used to things like, oh, I tried and here's null, you know. You're welcome. Uh, but having the default throw an exception is actually refreshing. I could just copy paste this, but I'm feeling typey today. Well, maybe I could copy this right. Can I connect target to? Make sure I update all of the copy pasta. Target equal connectable target. And we still want to break. Again, copy paste. Could have done this slightly different, but well, did that later or never. Okay. So this we can change that. And let's make sure our target. Okay. Let's make sure our target has the script on it. So it's not just like it's not just does this exist, it's is it also wire compatible? And this will also throw if it doesn't even have the script. Connectable target. Connectable target is wire compatible. Great. Button. Wire here. Okay. Problem. This raycast is not completing here because there's no target there. This it's not it can't intersect with non-physics bodies. So we need to go to right. I don't think yeah. So the target here is all just the target is all just sprites. So we can reparent this. Well, wait. Hold on. Okay. Uh, area static body. It would be if it was a rigid body. That'd be kind of funny because it would mean like the turret could fall. It could like be subject to gravity. Let's make it a static body for now. I think like you can't detect collisions with static body, or like static bodies can't detect collisions with other things, but you should be able to do what we're doing here. Um, I always like to have, I don't know if this is like necessarily a best practice or not, but I would like to have this as the root, the physics thing as the root, because that way if it moves, then the sprites move with it. Makes sense. Make scene root. Hope for the best. Okay. Turret. What am I calling this? Bracket. This is the gray part of the turret here. And I still want to keep the the base part matching the name of the file. It's complaining about there's no collision shape, which is the entire point of this exercise. Circle, capsule. I mean, it's also like a polygon, but so the only point of this thing right now is like you click on it. Also, I just anticipated another funny problem that we'll run into. Okay, so let's say like this is sure, this is where it is. The problem is if we're shooting out bullets out of this, those bullets are gonna collide with this thing. So there's a couple things we could do. I'm just gonna do the lazy thing and like like I could put this on another layer, and when you have the bullets, they collide with things on layer 1. They are on layer 1, they collide with things on layer 1. We haven't really used masks yet. But like, what is the turret really on another layer? And like, do bullets never collide with turrets? I want to say no. It's more like bullets don't collide with bullets from this turret don't collide with this turret. So what I can do here is instead there's this interesting. It seems like a hack to me, but we're gonna do it. You can explicitly ignore collisions. I don't remember what it's called. Between two things. Add collisions exceptions with. So you can say, here we have the turret. The script is on the turret bracket, which on this thing instead of the root, which I usually don't want to do, and we might have to change. But we're gonna say right now this is on the parent. The turret is the parent static body with get parent. So this says, okay, we're just gonna tell you, we're not gonna use the mask, we're just gonna tell you these things don't collide. So I don't know if there's another script reference to the turret. There probably is. Oh, we'll cross that bridge. Wait. Wait. Why is the turret so big? Okay. I think some scaling got wonky. Okay. I don't know what's going on, but it's fixed. So hooray. Okay. Deep breath. What are we doing next? Oh, okay. Let's make sure. Let's see if we can. So this connectable target needs to be on the root because that's where we're checking for it. That's where the script. So does this work now? Hey, okay. That's exactly what we want. Ideally behind things, but this is good. Oh, I also need to make it so that you can't stack everything. Okay, but all right. Now we check in. Connect. Can connect wire to target. Okay, there's one last piece here. It doesn't do anything. Oh, also the turret rotation got messed up. Yeah, reparent. I guess it's kind of expected. When reparenting the node, everything breaks. Okay, so when we connect these two things, we want to say like we want something to happen. So connectable source is this is one way that they're different. The connectable source is like the turret doesn't really know what's going on. it just has a method called on it. The connectable source is like, okay, once you are connected, do something. So we're gonna say actually, we know exactly what it is. Connection established. And eventually we'll have connection lost. So here we have two signals on our connectable source. Right now, the wire is the connectable source. Oh, that's not true. Okay, I'm trying to think about, like, right now the wire kind of only exists while the mouse is being placed. While it's being placed. I think what we want to do is, like, where is it in the tree right now? Oh, it's at the root node. But when we connect it, we kind of want to. I would like it to be connected to the like inside the source node. The button. I mean, I'm trying to avoid, like, connectable source here shouldn't know about the wire specifically, but the wire already knows all these the connections that are happening. So it might just be maybe I don't need those other events. If source and target, I mean, so this is okay. Oh, so here's no. The problem is the wire, the connectable and the wire, like, the wire shouldn't know specifically about the button. So what does the floor push button do? You're a floor push button, and you have like, you emit a signal button pushed, which is specific to the floor push button. Sorry, I've got smoke coming out my ears a little bit right now. It's also 75 in here. So I think what we want to say is, if we have both of these things, then we don't want to emit an event from the wire, because the button isn't subscribed to the wire events. It doesn't know about this stuff. I think I just want to say something like this. Source connect to target. And source is a connectable source. But the connectable source doesn't really look over here. The connectable source doesn't really do anything. So okay, it's starting to come together. So connectable source will emit an event connection established. What is subscribing to this event? The push button is subscribing to this event. So we're gonna say, on the wire, source is a connectable source. We call source it connect to target. This method does not exist yet. Let's add it. Connectable source func connect to target, connectable target. And this is going to look kind of weird. Emit signal. Connection established. Target. And this is just kind of a way for, it's just, I don't know if it's necessary, but it's a layer of indirection for the container to, for the connectable source to broadcast, hey, I'm a connectable source and I'm now connected to target. So now, if you go to button, where did button go? This thing, oh, we already have it. Okay. We have our connectable source here. On ready, we could also do this through the interface over here, but this is fine. Connectable source, connect, established, connection established. There's a lot of connect words in here. It's a little confusing. Link to, yeah, I'm gonna call it link instead of instead of connect, just for variety's sake, I guess. Link to target. Target is still, I mean, you always have to be consistent with types. It's a connectable target. Okay, so what we want to do here is we have a signal button pushed. And so what we want to do is, like, when this button is pushed, then trigger some action. And if you kind of reason about how this looks, well, actually, let's double check how this looks. So we have this push button here, and we have a subscriber, which is the turret shoot burst thing. So we need to call, the thing is, we don't always want to call shoot burst. We want to call it like activate or something. So this is just this particular button. So we want to say, when the button is pushed, we call activate on the target, but we don't know what the target is, but we do know what the method is called. We're just going to always call it activate on the connectable target. Okay, so we have, sorry, this is hurting my brain a little bit, but I think we're close. So link to target. We want to say emit. No, we want to say connect. Button pushed. Connect. Target dot activate. So connectable source has a method called connect to, because it's forming the connection and it just emits a signal. Connectable targets will have a public method called activate. Print activating. And we're going to call get path on ourselves so that we can tell exactly what it's activating. We know it's the connectable target, but we want to see like exactly what. Okay. This should work. What is calling link to target? Okay. Let's give it a try. So we, okay, let's hold on. Let's get rid of, I don't want, I mean, that's confusing. So we have our move little soldier in. We have our button and we have our wire. Activating turret connectable target. And it activates again. Okay, great. That is what we expect. And this is happening because the wire is calling, once the wire has a source and a target, it's calling source connect to target. And there might be, eventually there might be some things where like here, what is your current target? And if your target, and if you call connect to again when you already have a target, then it disconnects the old one and reconnects the new one. We're gonna worry about that later. So the only thing is right now we have connectable target, and it's not doing anything. It's just printing a message. We want to do the same thing what we're doing here. Uh, except we don't need to know like the target object I think is oblivious to what's connecting to it. It just says like, hey, do you just tell me when to do stuff, and it'll do it. So you can say activated, and it doesn't require it's just activated. And so now you say emit signal activate activated. Okay, I won't autocomplete for me, but it's fine. Okay, we're halfway there. The other half is the turret needs to subscribe to that. So I generally don't like when a thing has to subscribe to a peer. Like it's one of those things where like children aren't really supposed to know about other children in the same node because then they can't be used other places. So I'm going to go ahead and fix this real quick. The turret bracket here, since we reparented this script here should kind of be on the root, because usually these kind of public API kind of scripts should be on the root node. So let's go ahead and change this turret and remove it off of this one. And then we have to fix things. I should have probably checked this stuff first, but so gun is no longer directly here. It's now turret bracket / gun. And it's no longer animation player. What do? You call shoot on turret bracket. Okay, so that needs to change. So okay, so we're gonna pull the animation player up to the top level, and we're gonna change you. Is this still? No, we don't want this. Can I edit? Please let me edit this. Okay, so turret bracket doesn't have this anymore. We want to call shoot on turret. Fine, I'm being difficult. So call method track on turret, and this is going to look very identical. I don't even know if we're using this thing anymore, actually. Like we have shoot 1, 2, 3, but if you look at the turret script, oh no, no, okay, I was wrong. So shoot burst is the animation here. Okay, fine. I thought maybe we were doing like delays and stuff. Okay, so we're gonna call shoot, and then we're gonna do it again. Off center as usual. I 0.25. This is probably going to error at runtime, so we're going to delete that. So okay, so now we have the animation player, and it's still top level. Probably shouldn't be mixing my onreadies. Onreadies are kind of an internal thing, and these are like external. Okay, so we have gun here, and another thing that you can kind of think about doing is like, do you want like kind of the puppeteer root class here of, do you want turret controlling all of its children directly? That's fine. You could also have a script on gun that does some of these things, but then you have like a preponderance of scripts, And sometimes it's just nice to be like, look, this is not that complicated of a component. Just put everything in the top here. Connectable target is different because it's a reusable piece that's going to be across a bunch of different things. But okay, we can delete these two. So we have shoot burst and shoot, which is kind of a private method, but it's fine. Okay. In conclusion, we have to bring back ready because when the connectable target is activated, we want to call shoot burst. That is, I mean, if you remember, like what this game, what like the game's push button was doing, it was calling shoot burst here. But that's of course going to vary by whether it's a turret or a camera or something. So we're saying, okay, the turret needs to know when. Okay, wait. So the whole point of this was the turret script needs to know about connectable target so that we can say connectable target, hey, connectable target, when you are activated, call this method. Call self.shootburst. Okay. Immediate error. Perfect. Yeah, okay. So class name turret is attached to a static body, not a sprite. It really doesn't like that. Let's try again. Okay. So wait for soldier man to move. Connect this to this. And immediate crash. Okay. Right. So for the turret, we need to set these bullets back up again. Bullet. And I think bullet velocity was something crazy high. Okay. Kind of working. I don't know if you saw it was flickering. So first of all, yeah, let's fix this rotation again. I think these all got reset because of how you reparented everything, but it should just be like easy peasy. I think the bullet was oh, there were some errors. I think the bullet was colliding with itself. I can't see it this time, but there are errors. Collision exception only works between two nodes that inherit from physics body 2D. Okay, so it's that makes so the errors are related to the problem we're seeing. I love it when that happens. So the turret, the bullet was being created. It was, I need to update this so that the bullet is definitely a physics instance 2D, physics body 2D. We know that because it's a bullet. And anyway, this should work. Let's try this. Look at that. It's working. Okay. Okay. Turret activates when linked object activates. Raise hand emoji. Okay, now we can push this. In case you're at all interested in following along, which no problem if you're not. But I do have this set up for continuous deployment to GitHub pages. So if you go online. This should be in the description. If you go to this repository, you can like there's the link over here on the right, and then you can see it in your browser. Amazing. Of course, it doesn't, it doesn't work. It works as well as the game actually works, which is, limited to say. And it takes, it's pretty quick. It takes a minute and 40 seconds. It takes a minute and a half plus 40 seconds on top of that. So like 2.5 minutes from the time I push. Okay, so next question. Do I stop now or do one more feature? Because I think 2 hours is a good chunk of time. It's kind of hard to talk and be like on uh production mode for that amount of time. Let me at least this works. There's just a whole bunch of polished stuff that I want to do around this. Things like this wire should now be deselected, and if you hit right click it should also be deselected, and if it shouldn't do that. If you already have something selected, you need to deselect it. I'll just go ahead and do some of these like quick cleanup things, and that'll make it a little bit less less. Oh, hey, did you see that? Watch this, watch this. It fires continuously because the bullets are triggering the button. I love game dev sometimes. It's ridiculous. It's a feature. I'll add that to the list. Like that's another thing. Like that's a reasonable thing for a mask. Is like should little projectiles work on? But no, no, I'm leaving this in. This is a bug feature because eventually I want to be like, hey, if you want to have like the Incredible Machine style like bowling ball that like pachinko machines down into a button, um, uh, we'll see. I think it's okay. It doesn't like sometimes bugs can be fun. If they don't worsen the experience, it adds character or something. Okay, let's let's do the first thing. If you have this and you right click, it should stop doing that. It should get rid of your selection. I'm gonna close A sprite for now. Okay, I don't know why I keep opening writer. Force of habit. Okay, so in our place equipment button, if we have a ghost, which is what we're talking about right now, and we have input mouse, and we have like a mouse button event, we want to say else elif all this stuff except the right mouse button. I'm also gonna add like escape. Let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm gonna make a method. Cancel placement. Pass. This is what I mean by Python. It's all like white space, indent based. Elif ghost and event is input event key button key. If event dot key, wait, I have to cast it first. Key event as input event key. Key event as you know what? I'm gonna do something slightly different here. So I mentioned before you have input map, and there's like this layer of indirection here, and I don't need like up, down, left, right stuff, but there's a built-in event. There's a lot of them here. Let me just find it. Called cancel. UI cancel. It's the escape button. Makes sense. You can say if ghost and event is action released, UI cancel. Which means I could rebind this. The player could theoretically rebind this to something else. Cancel placement. So what does cancel placement do? Cancel placement eventually sets ghost back equal to null. Did not mean to hit F1. But also queues it for free, which is to say it deletes it. So I think there is the only thing here is if you're connecting something. There's a weird edge case here where if you're in the middle of connecting a wire, maybe don't do that. But we'll worry about that in a second. So now you have this wire and you right click, it's gone. Hooray. And you have this wire and you hit the escape button. It's gone. Okay. Mission accomplished. Let's cancel placement with R click or escape. What are these check marks here? Oh. All right. This is kind of this is a thing I didn't realize. Because we're integrated with GitHub, it can actually check to see like whether your build failed or not. That's cool. So I can push right now. And then, oh, okay. I guess I don't be like that. All right, I'll do that later because I don't know how much of my password is going to show. Let's not worry about that. Okay, no more pushing today. So the last bug I wanted to kind of demonstrate is when you do this, and then you right click. Okay. I think the button is still, hey, it works. Hey. I think, let me see if I can like, it's always nice when things work, but when things work accidentally, that makes me a little nervous. Let me see if I can kind of suss out why this is working real quick. So equipment connect is, I forgot where I put that. Like I'd expect this means that like I guess the source here, and there's no errors or anything. Like it's like it has a source, but the point position is like non-existent. I think source. Okay, here's what I think is happening. This object is getting freed, and so I think source is a similar thing. Sometimes it's a similar thing to Unity where it's like a null check, but it's also like, does this object still exist? So I think this check here is like, I think this is false. I think this is null now. And so because both of them are blank here, what I was expecting to happen is for this line to kind of freeze in space. It's fine. I'll like mentally note this as like weird, but kind of come back to it later. Okay, so right click, whatever, left click, nothing happens, right click, it's gone. Okay. Do I have a, did I make any changes? No? Okay. There's a few other things I want to do kind of eventually. Thanks for the claps. Or like, what if you can't put buttons in the sky? Because that seems silly. You know what? In this world, you can. I was thinking like you could have like, what if you had this kind of a big polygon area on the bottom? It might actually make it easier for players to be like, look, you can't place these things any random place in the world. but it's quirky. So I think the last thing I want to do is make it so if you right click on a button, it deletes it. So this is another kind of thing like, well, this is another one of those questions like, well, I don't want the soldier to be deleted if they click on if they right click on if the player right clicks on the soldier. I don't want, if there are buttons in the level, I don't want them to be um, deleted automatically, yeah, if the player right clicks on them. So I need another way to say like, hey, this thing has the attribute of if it's right clicked, if you right click on it, then it can be deleted. I think, and I don't want to modify. Um, what is button? Like I don't want to put every single script in here like add a boolean to them and say to every button and turret and other thing that like if you right click on this you can delete it. It's gonna be this seems like a put it in the backlog. Well, one of the things from the Incredible Machine that I would like to emulate is you don't have an infinite supply of these things. You don't have you can't do, I mean this is like fun to do, but like also be funny if you could like paint, like this is fun to do, but this is kind of like, okay, it's supposed to be a little bit of a puzzle game. You don't have infinite resources. I do like the buttons though. So eventually there'll be like a little number here in the corner that says how many of these you have left. um, so you need to be able to return them. I think what I will do is there needs to be a global click handler that says, hey, you right clicked on a thing, a physics object, you right clicked on this thing, does it have a like a user placed node under it? And if so, clean it up. And the way that user placed node will come in is I won't need to add it to everything here. I'll add it in the place equipment script. I again, this is one of those things like I don't, is this completely hacky? How hacky is this? Yes, answer is yes, a little bit. So here we're actually place the item, and we can say ghost.add child node.new. Normally you like instantiate nodes, but since this node doesn't really do anything, oh, it doesn't like that. Too many arguments for new. User placed marker equals node.new. Okay, so the part that is hacky is like you're not supposed to say, you're not supposed to just instantiate nodes like this, especially not node because it doesn't do anything. But I'm gonna say it has a name of user placed, not hacky at all. And so like the other thing that you could do is I could have like a global set of in somewhere that says, hey, here's the list of everything the user placed. That's not a bad idea, but then like if you delete something you have to like make sure that list gets updated and stuff, and this kind of is an easier way to say like, hey, you can just query any node, hey, are you user placed or not. I don't know what, okay. Hey, so another little syntax thing I haven't talked about, like equals means like it's like not strongly typed, and then colon equals is like please do type inference, and you can see maybe how it's gray over here until you use like strongly typed mode, and now you're like, oh, this, it's not like it compiles, it's like this is a higher chance of working. So now this ghost, which is the actual thing that's being added to the scene, it has this user placed marker on it, and you can see this. It's always good to check these things. if you click the button here, you can actually go over to here to remote. Okay, I added the push button to the root. I should probably change that at some point. But if you see here, now there's the user place node. It doesn't do anything. It's just a marker. I mean, it's not even a marker in the non-literal sense. Comment was targeted about flying buttons. Oh, yeah, put it in the backlog. Yeah, it's fine. People are like, it doesn't. I can't pass the level if I'm putting buttons in the sky. I'm like, well, don't do that. Um, yeah, uh, it's fine. It doesn't need to be realistic. Um, Scale mask. I haven't seen these before. Okay, well, I'm not gonna worry about that. Okay, so now we know what items the user has placed. Great. We're gonna create a, when in doubt, create more nodes. Very vague. I'm gonna call this input manager. Scripts, input manager. I think there's even like ref counted or something. Done. Oops. Unhandled input. I think again, because there's just like detecting clicks, this is fine. Print unhandled input. I'm doing some random clicks. Unhandled input. Oh, right. Motion also counts. Yeah, but here are the buttons. We've got pressed and whatever. Okay. If event. Okay, I'm always kind of, some of these things have like long names. I can never remember what they are. All these things. Okay. If event is input mouse event button, do that cast. We don't have ghost anymore. If button event dot button index is mouse button left, and button event is released. Wait, we don't want left, we want right. So we're gonna do that whole raycast thing again. This is the other thing, like even if you don't finish projects, you have either this mental bank, data bank, or like an actual code base of like, I've done this before, I can go copy this. Raycast? That's in the wire, isn't it? Okay, I can do all this stuff again. All these things. Oh, this whole thing. Tab. Okay. So we want collide with areas because we want to collide with everything. We collide with all the things, areas, bodies, whatever. Get world 2D. Okay, fine. We'll give you a physical presence. So we have to change our input manager to a node 2D so that it can participate in physics, essentially. So except we don't want global position here. We want I don't know. Okay, that might be global position. And the root viewport. Okay, all right. There's also like that, but I don't know. If we have an event, we should use it. There might. I think there are other ways to do this, but it involves like modifying each of those objects. Like I don't want to go, like I said before, I don't want to like, hey turret, you can be right clicked. I want to be like, no, I have a global thing that says right click, it checks what's being right clicked. So here's the collider. If collider, so it's a node. Um, child? No, wait, get node. Can I say like has node? Um, I can. I already forgot what it was called. User placed. If has node user placed, then ripperoni. Then key free. Okay, we could use break. Don't go through every collision. Um, okay, let's make sure that these like points are in the right coordinate system, and hope for the best. And right click. Hey, okay. What happens if I do this? Uh, that's not right. Okay, almost working. Um, input manager for, is this saved? Yeah. This is error, oh, there's error down here. Okay. Input manager for deleting user placed objects created. Okay, so what's happening is you need to say, I handled it. Something it needs to be registered as handled. I think I saw this in one of the other things. I think it's on the viewport. Handle. Is input handled? Set input as handled. Stops the input from propagating further down the scene tree. Okay, so we want that here. And we want it on, I don't know if it's sure that this will fix it, but this is definitely like part of it. So whatever's calling equipment connect, I think that's over here. Cancel placement. So this is only ever called, okay, let's put it here. It's been handled. Wow, I mean, okay. All the blazes. Oh wait, I can put this outside. So this branch is it's guaranteed to be handled. Oh, okay. This is not an else, so okay. I think this is, I don't know if this will fix it, but let's see. So we have this here. Okay, that didn't fix it. I think one other problem is like once you've placed both ends, your ghost should go away. I think that's kind of one of the reasons why this is getting confused. Place equipment. So we call equipment connect here, but we don't know, but this is the place equipment script. This doesn't know if we're done or not. It just says like, look, we're doing some multi-step thing here. So this thing needs to indicate whether we're done or not. I really, this is always confusing me. So I think it's wire. Yep. Okay, I'm gonna leave a note for myself. Because I need to control click things. That's how I navigate around. Um, okay, so here we have equipment connect, and this method here, this branch here needs to say, are we done or not? I think you actually say like, this is how you make this even more typey. See, not all code paths return a value. Types are great. Return. We just need to okay. We need to return like true or false, depending on whether it's done or not. Returns true if done connecting, false otherwise. Okay. Return true. Return false. Okay. If we're connected, return true. So now we go back here. Var done. Done connecting. If done connecting, then ghost equals null. Cannot infer the type of done connecting because the value does not have a set type. Okay, fine. Because this is like not strongly typed here, that's understandable. I think so. What is ghost? Ghost is an instance of wire. If I say ghost.free, is that gonna like break? Because we haven't created a new. This might be the wrong thing. Okay, yeah. So the ghost or the wire. You know what? I mean, so the problem is the ghost object here is in fact the only wire that is in the game, and it's still added at like the scene root here. By the way, I normally say like get node, game. Maybe that's better. But we really want this wire to be attached to the source node. That's fine. So, oh, I thought I removed this. Get tree, root. Okay. I have trouble clicking on this. Oh, the button is hard to click because the click target is small because the soldier needs to like step on the button. But the button that the player needs to click on is supposed to be okay. That's why I keep having trouble clicking on it. Okay. That's not right. Once again, game dev things. So the wire here is rendering this line, but the sprite here is also over there. So I think what I'm going to say is when this is connected, I don't know if this really needs to be updated every frame, but because it only changes when the mouse is moving around. But if we have, well, okay, hold on. So what we wanted to do is we want the sprite. There's a couple of different ways we can handle this. One, we could either hide the sprite when we're connected. That's what I'm going to do. The other thing that would be technically cleaner is you have like the sprite connector thing, and then you have a whole sorry, you have the wire connector thing, and then you have a whole other wire object that exists and is apparent a child of the source node, and you have the connector object and you have the actual wire. That sounds like more work. So I'm gonna say like let's look at like here's our wire, here's our line. We want this, like that, but we want the wire. We want the line to be visible, but not the wire, or not the sprite actually. So what we can do is open writer and then close it constantly. is in our wire, we want to have our sprite here. So we're going to do this wonderfully efficient thing. We're going to say sprite.visible equals p1. No. If you have p1 and p2, not p1 and p2, so either we don't have p1 or we don't have p2. This is something like De Morgan's law stuff. Anyway, if we have both ends, no, that's not even right. Because p2 will be the mouse position. Okay. Show sprite equals true. Show sprite equals false. If we have a source and a target, that means we have actual connected nodes here. If source and target, then show sprite is false. And we say show sprite. And we make this typier. Okay. All right. Ta-da! It's still there. It's still there. It's just hidden. Just the sprite is hidden. Ah, okay. That's what I was expecting to happen earlier. Okay. Placing wire. Now, when I'm done placing wire, now hides wire sprite. Technically, it does hide the wire sprite. It's just the wire image is gone. Okay, so what I did was, if I have this, okay, first of all, let's see, where's the wire actually? The wire is in the root node, which is, because that's where the ghost is. Was. So when I right click on it, it crashes because the wire is on the root node, but it's trying to access the position of the source, which I just deleted. So it actually works the opposite of the way, oh, I didn't realize you could do this, that's nice. It works differently from the way Unity does. It doesn't actually do like a are you in the world check, because that's actually slow, it has to call into the C layer. So it's like, it's, I know it says bracket null, but it's actually not null. That's why I got into this branch. It's just freed. So that's a problem. You know, it's freed because I did queue free in a previous, you know, when I right clicked on it. So I think the easiest solution for this should be the source. It needs to be moved to be parented under the source. This doesn't completely solve the problem because that only handles the source. If the source is deleted, this wire gets deleted. That's fine. But if the target is deleted, which imagine like the target, imagine the turret explodes or something, then this would still have the problem just on the next line. So there needs to be some. This is kind of early to think about this, but like you can say is free source dot free. There's is queued for deletion. Okay, this is, sorry, this is a basic thing. Godot check if node freed. It's just a demo method. Is instance valid? If not, is instance valid? Source, or not is instance valid? Target. Then abort. There probably needs to be more stuff like This stuff, like disconnect. Um, uh, I'm gonna do that real quick. Disconnect from target connectable target. Emit signal connection lost. Spell it correctly. Target. Okay, great. Before we queue free, we call source dot. Oh crap. Well, if they're already gone. Okay. To do need to disconnect at appropriate time. Because you don't want the button to be still connected to. If you delete the button, you want to remove that connection. I think it might happen automatically, but I still would know about it in code somehow. So anyway, queue free says if the targets aren't valid. Okay, so when we do this, I want to okay. So the question is like I keep saying like okay when we want to reparent this to the source. I think we want to say here. This is where the source is initially. This is where the wire is connected to a source. So we want to say source dot add child this. However, this doesn't work because if a node already has a parent, this method will fail. You have to remove it first. Kind of a pain, but I guess makes sense. So you say self.parent. Wait, is there a reparent method? Wow, I wish I really have just said that in the docs. Okay, what I normally do is I say get parent dot remove child this. And in fact, if you look at add child, it even has that in their documentation here. It says like if you have a parent, then call your parent remove child. But you can just call replace parent, reparent, source. Okay. So the purpose of this is when the button is deleted, like it just automatically removes the wire because the wire is part of button. No errors. And if you look at remote here, you can see the button has, oh, it's a parent. So it's connected to the connectable source. That's fine. I was expecting to be connected to the button, but it's fine. All the positioning matches up, which is a little surprising, but also good. And I delete it, and the button is gone, the wire is gone, no errors. Great. Let me try one more thing. If I connect here, what happens if I like have a second button down here? This should work. Yep. And if I remove this one, does it still work? Okay. Once again, tiny click target. Okay. Cool. Okay. I'm going to commit this. Let's see. Reparent wire to source node upon connection. Handles proper deletion of wire when button is removed. Is this still not going to let me? Can I get push down here? Okay. Still being a pain. Okay, that's fine. I'll fix that in a couple minutes. Okay. Next steps. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know if it needs to be that big. But this is kind of the monologue portion. So next steps. I still can't complete the level yet. Like the player can't progress. Um, I don't want to. I mean, despite the theme of like hyperviolence, I don't want it to be like too tasteless. Just like a little tasteless. Um, so it's not going to be. I was just thinking it'd be kind of like gory, but I'm like, maybe not. So I need this. The soldier needs to faint. And so like when they get hit with a bullet, they become horizontal. Um, they're fainted. They become horizontal, and I want to have like a door animation with the door opening. Um, so that'll be like enough to get you to the next level. I also want there to be a number that shows down here, and like an indicator of like, look, you don't have infinite buttons. Buttons in the sky, I'm fine with. That's like, if you want to put buttons up here, it's a sandbox. You're having fun. Um, I kind of want to make it so that you can like press the button with your mouse, but also that would defeat the entire point of this. Um, so I want to make it so that you have a limited number here, and it shows you what the number is, and it doesn't allow you to place more than you have. And of course, when you delete one of these things, it goes back into your queue. Um, so that will be enough to like finish the first level. So like another little kind of QOL thing for me that I think I need is, as I mentioned at the beginning, you have the game here, but like right now, these equipment slots here on the bottom, they're just like hard-coded UI elements. And really, I don't want to have the entire UI like, you know, it should be a scene. It should be a separate scene that I instance on each level, or I auto load each level or something. Um, so I need to have like the game needs to have a script that says, "Hey, talk to the UI layer, add these components, add these numbers of these components," and then that way I'll just kind of drive through scripting what your per level stuff is. And that would make much more sense. Okay, cool. So I'm going to keep working on that today. I'm not going to stream my entire work because I would die. But thanks for tuning in, and I'll probably start the stream, I guess, at the same time tomorrow. But